What's up guys, my name is Matt and many of you probably saw my video detailing the drops from 150 intel relays. And in that video, I mentioned that I would have another video that would detail a new farming route similar to my strange coin farm. But instead of just strange coins and rep alone, we're adding up to 40 exotic engrams to the mix. I will say I know that some of you don't care about anything I have to say and simply want to know how to do the method. And normally I provide a time to skip to, and it is on screen now, but I suggest that this time you listen all the way through because there are a lot of details you need to know for this method. Now before I get into how to farm upwards of 40 exotics a week, there are a few things you'll need to know, especially if this is the first video of mine you've seen. If you've never watched a video of mine or you don't remember, I have a video I posted about 3 weeks ago titled How to Farm 200 Strange Coins in 20 Packages a Week. And in that video, I detail a priority route for Plagueland patrols. And this method does use aspects of that route, so you may want to brush up on that video. I've also posted a video on the loot from 250 Archon's forges, and some of the data from that video was also used in order to back some claims that I'll be making in this video. And if for some reason you haven't seen yesterday's video that discusses the loot from 150 intel relays, like I already stated, I used that data to develop this route. So with all that said, you may want to brush up on all 3 of those videos in order to fully understand this method and the numbers backing it. If that is something you want to do, you can find the links to all those videos in the description. Also, like many of my other videos recently, there are a few things that I want to clarify before going into detail. While I can promise you that my numbers are accurate from my experience, you may not experience the same thing. My sample sizes are decently large, but when it comes to the full scope of Destiny and its player base, they are dwarfed and maybe off by a few percentiles here and there. And last, I want to state that when I say up to 40 exotics in a week, this is not only based on math, but also based on the assumption you put time into this method. If you only spend a couple hours on this, you will not get 40 exotics. I pride myself in being truthful with my subs, so while the numbers do back my claim of 40 exotics a week, some of you may only receive 10 and others may receive 60. Remember that the more time you spend on this, the better your rewards are going to be. So now with that all the way, let's dive into this method. Now there are a few things you need to know before actually starting. So before you start, you're going to need to have around 103 of coins. This is simply how you get exotics using this method. So if you don't have a 3 of coins, I suggest using my strange coin farming route, buying some 3 of coins, and then coming back to this method. It is also helpful to have an intel relay and some sort of SIVA offering in your inventory. Although if you don't have an intel relay, the route is designed to get you one, and same goes for the SIVA offerings. Also a very important note, if you have 10 splicer keys and no intel relays, there's a bug I discovered during this project that prevents you from getting an intel relay. If this is the case, simply delete or use one of your splicer keys and you'll start receiving intel relays again. So now, finally, let's get into this method. So to start, you're going to enter patrol in the Plaguelands and grab a kill or collect patrol in Lord's Watch, keeping an eye out for broodmothers if you don't have an intel relay yet. Complete the patrol you grabbed and move to the giant husk. You are doing patrols as busy work for majority of this route and a chance at the secret patrol. If the patrols I'm telling you to do are not quarantines, they are not required, but they are suggested. Once in the giant husk, you need to look to see if there's a quarantine in the area. If there is, there's a few things you need to do. You need to check your inventory for a SIVA offering. If you don't have one, you can ignore this part, but if you do, and it is not perfected and the quarantine is present in the giant husk, delete your current offering and do the quarantine for a chance at a perfected offering. If you complete that quarantine and don't receive a perfected, do not delete it. While a perfected offering has priority over any other offering, any offering is better than no offering for this route. Regardless if you have an offering or not, do the quarantine. The rep and glimmer it rewards is still worth your time. After completing everything already said in step 2, grab another patrol to stay busy and move to Archon's Keep. Also note that if you still do not have an intel relay by this point, be sure to be looking out for broodmothers at all times. Once you're in Archon's Keep, you're going to do exactly what I said to do in step 2. Basically, you're going to repeat what you did in the giant husk, but this time in the Archon's Keep. Your aim is to get a perfected offering, so if you don't have one and there's a quarantine present, do it. Just make sure to delete any offering you have that isn't perfected before doing so, or you won't receive the drop. Once you've done everything from step 2, again in Archon's Keep, move to the Archon's Forge. Once in the Archon's Forge, if you have a perfected offering, pop a 3 of coins. This is your first of 2 chances to receive an exotic during this route. Completing the offering will not only give you an 80% chance at endgame gear, but also a 20% chance at an exotic engram upon completion of the Forge event. If you do not have it perfected by this point, don't worry, just do whatever offering you have. Some loot is better than no loot. Now here's where you need to make a decision. You can either stay in the Archon's Forge for a while and grab some extra loot or move on. This is really up to you and it's personal preference. But if you want to stay effective with the route, I suggest moving on, but it's 100% up to you. Once you've decided to move on, make your way to the Rock Yard, picking up patrols along the way for your chance at the secret patrol. Again, I'm going to say it numerous times, if you do not have an intel relay by this point, be on the lookout for any sort of brood enforcer or brood mother. It is important that you have an intel relay by the end of the route. Once in the Rock Yard, again, look for a quarantine. If you have followed this route so far, you will have used your offering by this point, and any offering received from this quarantine, if it's there, is a head start on your next run of this route. After completing this quarantine, if it's there, grab another patrol or two and make your way to the divide. Again, as a reminder, I'm going to drive this home. If you don't have an intel relay by this point, you need to get one by this point. This is the last area that spawns a broodmother, so you need to be looking for one if you don't have one. Once in the divide, it comes down to a decision again. You can complete all the patrols in the divide to further your chances for the secret patrol and receive strange coins, or you could head directly towards the intel relay laser grid and open it. Now, once you've made the decision, you're going to end the route by going to the intel relay laser grid anyways. Once past the laser grid, one of two encounters can occur, one being the servitor and one being the thrall. These are equally likely to occur, both with a 50% chance. If it's the thrall encounter, sadly you're missing out on your second chance at an exotic in this run, but the chest still has a 10% chance of giving you Archon's Forge armor pieces, so it is worth opening it. So if at this point you were unlucky and received the thrall encounter, when you're finished, return to orbit. If it is the servitor encounter, you are in luck. Pop a 3 of coins and kill the servitor for another 20% chance at exotic. After killing the servitor, open the chest and return to orbit. At this point, it's really up to you. If you want to do only one run and go do other stuff, you can. But as I stated earlier, this route gives you what you put into it. The more runs you do, the more exotics you'll receive. If you do this with a full fire team and spend 2 to 3 hours a day, you'll have a very good chance at 30 to 40 exotics a week. If you just want to add this to your daily routine and run it one time, you still have a chance at exotics, just not as many. Now, I know this run still involves patrolling, and that was the primary gripe from my last method. People simply just didn't want to grind patrols, so I tried to rework it so it seemed less like you were grinding patrols and more like you were farming exotics. Regardless of what you do with this information, I hope I helped you in some way. So here at the end of the video, I do want to ask you a favor, and I ask this a lot. These loot grinds, this data collection, and making these methods take a lot of time. They take a lot of testing and sometimes reduce the amount of sleep I get. So I'd greatly appreciate it if you took the time to not only hit that like button, but also took the time to share this with your friends. Again, I thank you guys for the amazing support you've all shown over the last couple weeks. But for now, I'm going to get out of here, say my name is Matt, and I'll see you guys next time.